That was a long one. I shouldn't say that. And we're back.
Okay, we're cut.
And we're back to keeping it real.
Estate.
There you go. Another episode. This is our 4th episode. Super excited. Very pleased to be doing this for you guys. And we have another hot topic. And again, we try to just come up with these real scenarios, and people are asking us questions and, how does this work? And why should I do that? And should I refinance now? Or should I pull cash out? Or do I need to hire an agent if I'm looking for new construction? Right? So that's a question I have for you, Danny. So buyers out there, if they're looking at new construction, do they need a realtor?
Well, the short answer is no.
Okay, thank you for watching.
Yeah.
And
thanks, everyone. We're done here. Look, the short answer is no. You do not need a real estate agent to purchase new construction. The reality is you don't need a real estate agent to purchase resale homes as well. You could do it all yourself.
Right.
The difference is that at a new construction site, you are generally going to be paired up with a salesperson who is working on behalf of the builder. Mm-hmm. And so it's the same thing as going to the seller or the listing agent, the agent who's representing the seller, and asking them to represent you. It's very similar in the sense that you are asking the advocate of the other party to represent you. What happens to your best interests at that point, Mo?
What best interests?
Exactly. Right. Exactly. So the short answer is no. The long answer is, but you should. And of course, this will seem very self-serving, but this is advice that I would give to my relative in an area that I could not even potentially work with them. Mm-hmm. It's like, find a great agent that's going to help protect your best interests. Because ultimately, when you walk into that new construction site and you talk to that sales representative, they could be wonderful people. And I'm sure they are. Most of them are. That doesn't mean that you're going to have your best interests represented. You don't have a fiduciary relationship with that individual, which when you're actually in a committed real estate agency relationship, you do have that fiduciary duty.
Right. So if I'm a buyer and I hire you and you're showing me new construction, what kind of benefits do I have, or could you offer me that would make my experience different in buying new construction versus having a realtor represent me at new construction versus not having, right? So obviously, you have my best interest in mind, but again, give me an example of what you would do for me that would not have happened had I not hired an agent to help me with my new construction.
Great question. So this all comes back to you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And as an agent, we know a lot, or at least we should. Okay. Don't assume. But in theory, your agent should know how to, read the contract. You would be surprised at how little things get missed here and there. That's just very basic stuff. Right. I mean, that's not even like a huge value add. But then we get into things like negotiating and knowing...
Wait a minute. I thought that if I'm buying new construction, there's no negotiation. The list price is what it is. The improvements are what they are. The credit is what it is. So why would I need an agent to negotiate anything? Yeah,
that is a false or a misconception, I should say. And by the way, this is not... In some cases, it's very true because it's supply demand. If you're going for a new construction that has a line out the door and you have to partake in a lottery system to even have a chance at getting the house, yeah, I mean, you might not be able to negotiate.
But not all developments are that way.
But not all developments are that way.
Uh-uh.
Not all developments are that way. And this is absolutely not self-serving at all. You find a new construction site that has that sort of issue.
Uh-huh.
If you find a good agent that has a good relationship with those sales agents, what do you think your chances are? Do you think your chances stay the same, or is it like the same as an average person, or higher?
I would think they'd be higher.
It's probably higher, right? And so, I mean, I've had that on a couple of new builds that I'm tight with someone, and it's relationship business. Right? It's relationships.
Right. So again, it's about building rapport, right?
Of course.
We talked a little bit about that on our last episode. So it's not just about the rapport with the listing agent, but in this case, it's the rapport with the builder, which is pretty much the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Right.
It's you're switching one decision maker out for the other. At the end of the day, it's the gatekeeper.
So what could you negotiate for me if I was a buyer that I wouldn't have known I could possibly negotiate for? Now, granted, I know that that's not always going to apply, but I want to get a good example of what you would have negotiated, what you could possibly, not all the time, negotiate for me that I would have never dreamed that I could have negotiated for. What, like, give me an example.
First off, price.
Okay, price.
Just the very basic.
So it's not assumed, okay, this is what they're selling it for, so I have to pay that price.
Sometimes it is.
Right.
Sometimes it isn't.
Sometimes it isn't.
I mean,
but I wouldn't know that if I'm a buyer and I'm going into new construction. I would think I have to pay what the sign says.
Yeah. Price is negotiable.
Okay.
And I promise you that whoever's watching this video is not as skilled at negotiating price as a good agent would be.
Right.
So that's number one. Number two, upgrades. So obviously you get sold a new construction home, then you got to deck it out, right? You have all these different options.
You want it to look like the model home.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, but that model home, that's $100,000 in upgrades.
Yeah. I recently looked at one and it was like $260,000 in upgrades. So,
right.
Yeah.
Insanity, right? Like, and so again, it's like negotiating at that point. It'd be negotiating with a contractor. Well, this is X price and we want it for this amount. So this is what the total is going to. So these are things that you can, again, negotiate. Upgrades.
Which I don't think a lot of people even realize that might be an option. You know, I recently had a buyer that was looking at new construction, and the sales agent called me and said, "Hey, could you call this buyer?" They were kind of excited about making an offer, but then they went cold. Let them know we'll throw in a bigger credit for their closing costs. You know, like so there are new construction. There's new construction out there where now I told the client that, right? But in retrospect to basically on what you're saying, that you could probably negotiate that as well.
Absolutely.
You know, maybe they're offering a credit, maybe you can get a bigger credit. Maybe they're not offering a credit, maybe you can get a credit. So it's like, those are the things that I think a lot of people don't realize they could do, and they wouldn't even know it, because if you walked into a new builder, they're not going to say, "Hey, do you have an agent that can negotiate for you?"
Of course not. No. and so on that note, there's a couple of things that buyers should be aware of, that in most marketplaces, if you come in without your real estate agent, the agent is not considered procuring cause, and so they will cut your agent out of the deal.
Oh, okay.
They won't allow them to be a part of the transaction.
So how do I make sure that my agent can represent me?
Well, you have to bring them with you when you go tour that new construction site for the first time.
Okay.
There are some caveats, being like, if your agent can't make it for whatever reason, and I mean, there's not really too many good reasons why they shouldn't be able to make it, but if for whatever reason they can't, then the agent would place a phone call to the sales agent saying, "Hey, listen, so-and-so Sally, buyer, is going to be there on Saturday at 2 p.m. I'm out of the country, and she'd really love to see in those sorts of situations, you might be able to get by. Some still will say,
sorry,
absolutely not. Like, good luck.
Right.
And
again, if you have a rapport with the builder,
if you have the rapport,
and they know, oh, Danny, oh, your client's coming in. Oh, you can't make it. You're out of the country. Oh, don't worry
no
about
problem.
it. Right.
Yeah, no problem, because
Right.
they know you. So
Right.
like it does help to
Right.
have that rapport built with the. Now, of course, it's impossible to have rapport built as an agent with every single new build, but especially in the areas, the core markets that you service, you should absolutely, if you're an agent watching this, like, my God, like make it a priority to do that, because you have to know buyers are always interested in new construction, right?
Right.
And so
even when they tell you they're not, if they tell you that they're not, they're going to, if they're buying and they pass a model home in an area that they may or may be interested in,
they'll just stop by.
They're going to stop by.
Right.
So I always tell my realtors, have you asked them about new construction? Make sure you take them first, because even if they're not interested, you're doing one of two things. You're making sure they're not interested, or you're giving yourself an opportunity to represent them and giving them an opportunity that you represent them by doing it first thing, by taking them to that new construction first.
Right. So couple things that I want to close out my thoughts with are the other thing that you can, another value is you only know what you know, again. So we negotiate price, we can negotiate upgrades, we can negotiate closing costs, credits, fill in the blank there. And then finally, if you're seeing a particular property, you're seeing that one. But a good agent, one that's knowledgeable in that area, should be like, oh, well, if you like this one, then what about this one over here as well? They'll know other potential resale and or new construction opportunities that are available to you. So having a knowledgeable expert there by your side is worth it. And again, I mean, I can't emphasize this enough. It doesn't cost you anything. Like, there's no cost to having a buyer's agent walk new construction with you. They get paid out of the seller's proceeds, the builder's proceeds. And a common misconception, and I want to make sure that I address this, is that the builder favors buyers who come in unrepresented. I can tell you that this is absolutely not true. And if the builder lucks out, and you walk in unrepresented, do you think they're going to save the commission for you or for themselves?
Right. It's for themselves.
They're going to, there's no like incentive or will give you money if you don't bring in a buyer's agent. None of that. Like, that doesn't exist.
Right.
And if you asked any reputable builder, sales agent representative, they will confirm that. And now, that being said, there are some new construction sites out there that are offering a 0% co-op, actually, like literally saying, hey, we're not going to pay buyer's agents. That is pretty rare.
Okay.
But that does happen.
Before I forget, have you heard anything about some of the new builders that are actually now taking bids on?
No. Where is this? I have not heard about this.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's something we should look into.
So they bid like an auction style. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's just another typical Silicon Valley.
It is. It is very Silicon Valley.
It's just like, it's just a bid.
I want to say it is Pulte.
Oh, interesting.
We should kind of take a look at that. But I did have one of my realtors tell me that 2 of the new construction sites are taking bids and are no longer, which I just thought was just kind of crazy.
Interesting.
Even more so reason to have representation.
Yeah, because, at the end of the day, a house is a house is a house. Whether it's a new construction house or if it's a resale home, a skilled negotiator, when you bring them along, should be able to help you in either scenario.
Right.
And you're either negotiating with a builder or a listing agent. At the same, whatever it is, it's all the same thing at the end of the day. And, this isn't like a use our services kind of pitch at all. I mean, they can always, here's my plug. They can always text us at 408-868-3381 if they need help.
I have this visual.
Yeah.
I have a visual. Just kind of go with this.
Okay.
You remember the movie The Terminator?
Yeah.
What about The Negotiator?
The Negotiator.
And you need to wear those glasses. And then you got to like have a really tight shirt and then be the negotiator.
J-Rod will find a way to Photoshop that in right now, I'm sure.
There you go. I got that visual. Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. I will. Okay, I think we're done.
I think so.
With our fourth episode.
Yeah, I was gonna wrap that. I was gonna wrap that up. Actually,
okay. So I'm not wrapping it up. He's gonna wrap it up.
No, well, yeah. So I just want to say, like, the point isn't like use my services. That's not the point. The point is, I'm just looking out for the greater good here, the greater well-being of people in Silicon Valley, Bay Area, U.S., whoever's watching this, wherever you're watching it. Don't go in unrepresented. You wouldn't go into court and do, represent yourself on a case.
Right.
You wouldn't go in and perform surgery on yourself. Why would you
go into new construction
on one of the biggest financial decisions you'll ever make in your life and not have a professional by your side for free?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
No.
Like, it just doesn't make sense. And that's it. That's all I got to say.
And you don't have to use their lender, by the way. You just need to get pre-approved through them, usually.
That's true.
Not all the time, but just keep that in mind.
You don't have to use their lender. Sometimes there are financial incentives. They incentivize the buyers to use the lender that they have on site. Sometimes they don't. But yeah, I mean, and that's the other thing too, is like, if you're going in, you should always have that pre-approval from another lender, because at the very least, you know whether or not what they're giving you at the new construction site is even competitive, right? Because they could be saying, hey, we'll give you a credit, but then they jip you on the rate. And then all of a sudden in 2 years, they've made that back their money plus way more. And so you just got to be, these are things you got to be cognizant of.
Right.
But yeah,
so
that's it.
So you don't have to use the lender, and you want representation. And those are definitely two super important questions that people have. Do I need my realtor? Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
So we're signing off now for the second time. Now we're really for sure signing off.
All right, guys. Hey, this is Danny Gould selling Silicon Valley.
And this is Mo Money, Stanford selling money.
Catch you guys.
Keeping it real.
Estate.
Bye-bye.